Greetings and salutations, family. We're going to be doing the continuation with the Alexander Hyssop book and the objects of worship. So I pray you are having a wonderful first day of the week thus far. Again, I repeat, I pray you're having a wonderful first day of the week. Remember I told you guys about I like to get these little incense lighter things like these. This is myrrh. This is myrrh. You can, and I got a little menorah that you can put it on. And after you light it, you see that one on the very end? That's an ash of one that's already lit. So I keep the ashes. Not that I have to, but I just keep them and collect them. And sometimes, like whenever you read about spreading ashes upon the forehead for fasting, you have ashes from your, incense that you can use. You don't have to, but it's just like, say, we're in a house and somebody's in a what we call a sacrifice for the Most High, and they don't, and it's supposedly private. You put that on your forehead, and then everybody else in the house, we know what's going on. So, and these I also got from Walmart, which are the frankincense sticks. So you can get the cones, which like you can put in a little thing and light them, and then you can get the sticks. All right. So I pray you all are having a lovely first day of the week, as I am. Got some little things done, and then I was sitting down at the desk and reading, and I always think about you guys when I read. So I don't know why that little being a little person. Lighter. Okay. My righteousness, dancing in the fire, walking in the den with lions, singing unto the King, faint like a dust when she fasted 3 days. I'm thankful to my Father. No, I don't need a house, a car, a man, no money to thank him. I'm standing in his word. I'm standing in his word. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. So blessed. Yes, so blessed. Thank you, Father, for another day of the first day of the week. Bless the high, oh my soul, and all that's within me. In him I shall be confident. Bless his holy set apart name, which is the almighty existing one. So at first we were doing Deuteronomy 6 for some days, and now I want to go into Deuteronomy 7. And then we'll begin finishing with the two Babylons of the people worship, proven to be the worship of Nimrod and his wife. So in other words, if you're watching, you're like, well, what does Babylon have to do with me? And I'm just a Christian or whatever. What the book is basically saying is that there's two Babylons. There's an ancient Babylon and there is a modern, or what you would say, an up-to-date Babylon. Just like they would tell you there's an Old Testament and a New Testament. Bottom line, the new Babylon is nothing really new about it other than the new tricks that they have used to decorate and cover up the old-fashioned Babylonian ways to get others to worship into the customs and ways of the ancient Babylonian deity system. So I'm going to go into Deuteronomy 7. And the reason why I feel that it's important for us to read out of Torah, and then go into that is because we have to see what the Most High's requirement was when he delivered us out and look at it more closely. And I pray that it's able to rest within you a little bit more than usual. I know I can honestly say by reading it again, for some reason, it is tending to, I don't know, it's just getting my attention more. I'm just learning something new, if that makes any sense. Okay. So we're going to be in Deuteronomy chapter 7. Bless the reading of your word, Father, and pray for the edification of the people whose eyes need to be open and ears need to be able to hear. All right. So when Ahiah thy keeper shall bring you into the land, whether you go to possess it, and have cast out many nations before you, the Hittites and the Geshurites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jeshubites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Ahiah your keeper shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show them any mercy. Show no mercy unto them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto their sons, nor your daughters shalt thou not take unto thy son. For they will turn away the son from following me, that they may serve other deities, gods. So will the anger of Ahiah be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. So when his people begin to serve other gods, the anger of Ahiah, the creator, is kindled against his people, and he will destroy us suddenly. This is written for us to understand, and this is also written for the other nations, and they clearly get it. They understand in order for us to be destroyed, not just destroyed, but suddenly, is to be against our Father by worship. Worship is an intimacy. You can worship. Some people worship their cars. Some people worship their children. Some people worship their jobs, or they worship themselves. Bottom line, the creator wants to be, is supposed to be, must be the only thing we worship. Okay. Verse 5, but thus shall ye deal with them. So he said, first of all, don't make no covenants with them. Second of all, don't show them no mercy. When I get them up out of your face and get them out of the land, and I give you their land, they're going to try to do these little tricks and trades and all this kind of stuff so they can try to have a piece of their land and then rise up. Do not marry them. Do not let them blend in. When my children touch down in the land, it's over for the prior nation that was there. This is the Father's attitude, and it has not changed. You can't mix, or you can't put no artificial liquids inside of an official vessel. You can't blend. That's what he was basically trying to let us understand. Okay, verse 5. But you shall deal with them. But this is how you shall deal with them. You shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. He said, don't show them mercy. Destroy their nonsense. Get their foolishness up out of my sight. So it's that once I destroy them, he says, I'm going to show you how to deal with them. Then there needs to be a purification process. Verse 6, for you are a holy people unto me. Ahiah thy keeper had chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. We see with the Father, He wasn't talking about no unitedness and no equalness and no we're one with the nation stuff. So that too, that little united mindset of the America is also anti the creator. The states are not united. The states are divided. These different governors are allowed to oppose or put forth any type of jurisdictions they want. There'll be like say 14 states to say they'll have the abortion for like a baby at a certain stage, and then some states say no. Some states say that you can, allow your child to say what they want to be on their birth certificate, and some states say no. That's not unity. So they're really not united. The Father said, "You are holy unto Him." We are holy unto Him. We are not to be physically and on paper and spirit or any form blended with them. Verse 7, Ahai did not set his love upon you, nor chose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. But because Ahai loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath Ahai brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. So the Father is a keeper of his word. So when he's giving his word to some people, all he understands and recognizes those who are able to keep the word. He's solid, he's thorough, and he's real. But these other nations think he's playing, and he's really not playing. It is very vanity for one to take a word who doesn't, the word is clearly saying he ain't dealing with y'all, lie to the people he is dealing with, to keep them from him, to come up with a doctrine to make yourselves be the ones loved of him, and he still don't love you. Why are you wasting your time? That is a shame, to live a lie. Who are you kidding? Verse 9, Deuteronomy chapter 7. Now, therefore, that Ahai thy keeper, he is the keeper, that faithful keeper, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face. To destroy them, he will not be slack. To him that hateth him, he will repay him to his face. And if it says like this, hatred is murder. So if you speak evil against your brother or don't love your brother, which is being lawful, applying the laws to your brother or your sister, then you have murdered them. If you hate the creator, you're not lawful, you're not obeying his word, and you try to murder him, but it's impossible. Hatred is as the same as murder to the Father. He is the source of life. So that is an insult for one to even try to call himself. And hatred simply is practices of Sunday worship. Right before I came on here, y'all, I ain't gonna lie, I went on somebody's live stream, little Christian East Side church, and had some rebukes in there because today they were happening to be talking about baptism. And what I'm seeing is that the people around the world are noticing that things are changing and something's not right. And so their responses is, let's hurry up and get in the water. Let's hurry up and try to be, saved. But before you get in the water, you got to confess. And they don't understand, first of all, what repentance is. Second of all, corporate repentance and a single person's repentance. But yet they say, jump in the water, jump in the water, jump in the water, let's get baptized. Then come out the water still remaining dead. But it's time for Jacob, which is the chosen people of the Most High, to continue, to not to continue in the ways of the dead and to come out of that. To know that the Most High will not be slack if you disobey him. If you disobey him, you saying you hate him. You're not saying you love him if you don't obey him. Verse 11, Deuteronomy 7. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. He said, you shall keep them. You will keep them, he said. If the Creator has told our people that you're going to keep them, he might have been looking at a heart that said, I don't want to do that. You tell me every feast day I got to, you tell me everything the first amount I got to give you. See, people think it's easier said than done. But all you have to do is align your heart and think about it like this. The Creator didn't just bring us out of bondage, but he brought us out mightily. We were able to see him destroy the Egyptians. They had no power. Egypt was a very, very respected nation at that time. And they were very strong and powerful. I mean, everybody thought, you went to Egypt. It was like America today. So we've seen what he's done in the past to Egypt. We can have an idea of what it's going to look like for America when we already know that this Babylon, it is written, it is going to be destroyed. And no matter how many attempts those of the dead that try to keep their system of death going, the kingdom of darkness is coming down. And as he told us before, to show y'all no mercy, that's exactly what we're going to do. And we shouldn't be embarrassed or ashamed or timid or respectful. So if we see a Mary statue in somebody's yard, to not knock that thing down. We shouldn't think twice. But this ain't the land he gonna give us, because this land is going to be destroyed. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Ahijah your keeper shall keep unto thee the covenant and mercy which he sware unto your fathers. So you keep his word, he gonna keep you. You preserve, period. It's not the, let me hop in the water, let me accept him as my Lord and personal Savior, let me get baptized. Even on that channel, that was Eastside Christian Church, they had the nerve to say, I'm hearing some questions like, how much water do I need to get baptized? Okay. All right, let me try to see if I can get this out. If I have a brand new car or I buy a vacuum cleaner, I don't call the company and ask them questions before I try at least attempt to read the manual that came with the vacuum cleaner I bought. Just because there's someone who stands before you as a representative of being the all in all to know the way, doesn't mean you have to not read. We as a people don't do anything else in this world without having some form of knowledge. But when it comes to spiritual things, pastor has to know it all. And it ain't just the Christian churches I need to come get, but it's also our brothers and sisters who are supposed to be aware of the knowledge of the Most High according to the commandments. But you're teaching, you're a lot more dangerous. The ones who are dead teaching this, haven't been born again, in other words, dead. If you're not born again teaching the commandments and you have like other motives behind it, using his name for vanity, you're a lot more dangerous than those who don't even have an idea of what the requirements are. Because it's very sad for the people to come out of deception and come out of doctrine and they're very fragile. It's like they need to be they need to go from the emergency room to intensive care. And the intensive care is where they need to understand the spiritual meaning they need to grasp from these scriptures. They don't need to just be reading the law and say, okay, it says I can't do this or that. All right. They need to understand there is a spirit behind that, which is the Father, that if they receive of him, they will receive the understanding where it would be easy for them. He said, my burden is easy and my yoke is light. So if it's not seeming light and someone came to this truth and things are seeming grievous to them, and there's women who are being burdened to carry the loads of the household because their men is always up at some elder congregation or on the corner somewhere, not able to be the man of his household, that's already backwards. That's wrong. And so I'm hoping that a lot of these messages are going to be able to help the precious people. I'm not concerned about those who have went out their way to be the puppets of deception. My heart is looking towards the people who are deceived and they need to get out of deception. And I don't care what kind of shape, way it comes. I don't care what it looks like. If it's deception, it must be destroyed. Verse 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to keep these judgments and keep and do them, that Ahiah thy keeper shall keep unto you the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto their fathers. So the covenant is promises tied to the covenant. The covenant is he's going to give you the land to possess it. He will make you as numerous as the sands of the sea and the stars of the sky. This everything he told Abraham, you can read it over there in Genesis 17. Everything he promised Abraham. Then Isaac received promises. Jacob, each and every single one of them have received their own set of promises and blessings according to the promises of before and their own obedience. Isn't it beautiful to know that if your forefather, like say, my mom and dad was keeping the commandments, so as a child, I'm already going to be blessed. Then I raise up and teach my children. So it's blessings on blessings on blessings, promises on promises on promises, and the covenant being renewed through the generations, rather than curses being renewed. Verse 13, and he will love thee and bless thee, and he will love thee. So the mindset of God is love, as in it doesn't matter what you do and how you come. That's another deception. Because love is simply obeying him, and it's everything he said out of his mouth. He established, the creator established what love is. It's not a bubbly little feeling. It's not lust. It's not attractions. Oh, I felt it in my bosom. Something just told me to go to the end of the aisle and just accept Jesus Christ as my Lord, personal Savior. But when you walked away, that feeling got you all worked up. And it's like when a person wants to find out what it's like to have an encounter with someone and after they do it, they're like, that's it. But when you find truth, rather than happiness or a bubbly feeling, it's joy. It's a feeling, well, not a feeling. It's an assurance and a comforting. It's like a clothe. He clothed you like a blanket he put on you. Like you were naked, but you're no longer naked. And I can say for sure that when he has found me, because I didn't find the truth, when he has found me, because I was lost, and he calls himself in my lostness to cause himself to draw nigh unto me and to call me to his truth. I'm graciously appreciative of that love, that I cannot say I felt that when I was in Christian church. And even when I found out who I was, I felt gratitude. It made sense to me. The gospel made sense to me. But there were still some missing pieces until I understood where my position and role was at. And what the people have to get is that accepting as your personal is also denying he has a people that he called unto himself. A people he called holy. A people he had an agreement with, a covenant with. No one else can disannul or cancel his covenants. Not even those who are called by the covenant. Even if you say you're not going to obey the commandments, you're going to be bound by the covenant of death then. Because behold, he set before us life and death. So Jacob has no option in the matter. We've been bought by the blood. But you other nations, you have a position in this, and that's first and foremost to be knocked down and then rebuild. Just the same way Jacob had to be. We didn't just jump into becoming his people. We had to pass under the rod. And as I was waking up this rising and I was just meditating on Psalm 23, thy rod and thy staff. Well, the rod is the laws. The staff, he told me, is my direction. You see the rod in the books of Moses. You will see my direction in the what they call New Testament as I had the disciples follow me. They couldn't quite follow me with just the books because I had not yet showed myself unto them the true way. So when man was trying to keep it without the power, without the anointing, without the comforter, because see, not only did he give us the staff, which a shepherd directs and keeps his sheep with, it's like you see a person walking, but he got that staff. So the sheep not only identify the voice with the shepherd, but they look at that staff because they know that staff helps protect them from the wolves. So they grow a fondness with that stick. So when you see the direction through the testimonies and the new covenant, you can also see that it's comfort given that he promised us through the Holy Spirit. So Holy Spirit comforts you in that direction because he knew by us being scattered amongst these nations, it wasn't going to be comfortable and it wasn't going to be easy. Because before, as a nation, we were together, we repented, but now as a nation, we're scattered. And so what I'm asking is that those unaware and aware of the requirements for his people to get is the creator has an agreement with people, with a nation. The stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was not just written for fabricated stories like a fairy tale novel book. There's a reason why you read about those people and their children. And those people did not fall the face of this earth. And those people are not those pale people with them curly fries on the side of their head. But they're the same people who has been trodden down and overlooked and disregarded by all of the nations as they've been accused of this overlooking and disregarding the Messiah, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Verse 13, and he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of thy land, thy corn and thy wine and thy oil and increase of thy kin and the flocks of thy sheep in the land which he sware to unto thy fathers. Do you understand? I know that was fast. I'm sorry. I'll read it again. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb. Your seed automatically comes out blessed. And the fruit of thy land, crops, thy corn and thy wine and thine oil, the increase of thine kin and the flocks. Do you understand the importance of this? Before you could even be an adult or before you can even be qualified to get him something to bless as a first fruit, you have to first receive a fruit in order to even give him. So in other words, you have to be given from him something that you can even offer back to him. But if you have nothing, you cannot come unto the king empty-handed. So you have not a covenant agreement. Wherein then do you stand? And that goes to the people who think that grace was just given for you to, feel all good and I feel feeling inside. And I'm not making fun of you, and I'm keeping it real. But the point of the matter is, you nations are empty-handed. You don't even have a seed. You don't even have fruit to give. The only thing that you has been offering is iniquity. You have already come short, as we all did, but you have, because you knew not sin, you have no cloak for your sin. That's Deuteronomy 28 right there. Verse 13 is Deuteronomy 28 summarized up. Verses 1 through 15. Blessed shall you be in the bad season. Blessed shall you be in the season. Blessed, blah, 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 blessed. Blessed according to what? Why can't, it's quite clear if we read it all through the word, how you become prosperous and what was the real blessing of Abraham. Because a lot of these little lion devil evangelicals, TV evangelicals, they'll come up with these, like I seen Kenneth Copeland do it, talking about, yeah, I got all this money out this jet. I am a seed of Abraham. Can you believe that? A seed of Abraham. But you're not operating in the faith of Abraham. And you don't resemble his obedience. It wasn't money he was promised. It was land. And when you have land, all the material wealth within that land is yours, including the people. But y'all got it when it came to our sin, though, because when we broke the commandments, you didn't hesitate to take us as property and take our land, our inventions and our creativity and our arts and our gifts and our skills that were made to go back unto the Creator. See, we were born with these gifts. We were blessed from the womb. We came out with fruit. But y'all having nothing, stole. And then have us thinking that we're nothing. You can do all this production, you can do all this working, but you're still nothing, though. He said, which he swear unto your fathers. There's a promise to our fathers to give us. It didn't say an army from America is going to need to defend a people against other nations to help them get this land. It didn't say there needs to be treaties and bills and taxes cut it from the people to go to this people. It didn't say that there. It said, keep my commandments and you will receive the blessing. It didn't say accept Jesus Christ as your Lord, personal Savior. It didn't say that either. Someone's been lying here. Verse 14, thou shalt be blessed above all people. This is the part where the nations got in their feelings. Excuse me, wait a minute. Did they just say they will be above all people? That's exactly right. It may seem unrighteousness with some, but it is his will. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be a male or barren, a female barren among you or among your cattle. You're going to be so fruitful. So if that's when the Most High says you shall be blessed, and he speaks about the fruits of, he's speaking about the wound as a nation of America. What is your attitude with the idea of the Father in regards to that? When you have abortion clinics and policies concerning that everywhere. Do you and the Creator as a nation of being a godly fearing nation line up with his statute of life? His commandment that he said, be fruitful and multiply? You don't. You don't line up. It's cute for commercials and ads to be produced for birth control, to further push sexual iniquity and fornication. Let's do away with the consequences of this act by coming up with a drug that can say, I control my life. This is your commercials. And I wasn't ready yet. I took this pill, Xanax, and it just has me, I'm able to finish my college degree. Why can't you just keep your legs closed? Why can't you just wait for marriage? Why don't those children deserve a life to come up in a solid foundation? And then they want to destroy the children of Jacob with your little secret things you're doing in the prisons and the food to destroy our men. And in slavery, it was castrating them. It's taking our babies and killing them. verse 15 of Deuteronomy 7. And Ahijah will take away from all these sickness. Exactly. We will not need vaccinations. We will not need doctors, aka sorcerers. We will not need the pharmaceutical companies. And to this day, guess what? Because I keep the commandments, I don't already need them. I tell them I don't need you for anything. There is nothing you can do for me. Yeah, a couple of them got mad because I told them that my children will be going nowhere near a pediatrician's doctor's office. You want my children to come into a pediatrician office during a time of COVID-19? I said, they're all the good. We keep the commandments and shall live. Thanks. Have a great day. Click. Because see, guess what? I don't just read this. I know that this is true. I know that if he wrote it, he will perform it. If he said it, he's going to do it. Because he's not a liar. So I don't let men who tend to lie speak contrary of this word. I don't lift my hand on Sunday church and say, bless, oh God, and then go home and rely on medications. That's not faith. That's not faith. There's people around me in my life I try to tell this to. They probably think I'm crazy, but guess what? They're the ones sick. I'm not. I can say through the spring, summer, and the fall, now in winter, I have had no symptoms of COVID, nor anyone in my circle come nigh to the COVID symptoms. We're good. And we're going to continue to be covered because it is obedience to the commandments of the Creator that keeps me away from sickness. So he done talked about no covenants with y'all, no marriage with y'all. Destroy your idolatry. He said, also, I'm going to give you their land for possession. And that pertains to everything in there. Then he also said he's going to bless the wound, fruitful. Then he also said, I will destroy sickness from you. And will put none of these evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon them that hate thee. So check this out. If the diseases are of Egypt, that means Egypt had a dietary way. They had practices of worship that gave them those diseases. If we're understanding by this book that America's ways are now as the ancient Babylon, a lot of your diseases, America, stem from your worship. A lot of your diseases, America, come from your disobedience and your sorcery and your idolatry. See how important it is to just simply obey? Now you understand when he said, and live, what that live was all entailing? He said, I wish above all things that you have good health. Automatically come out. When you have good health, you can't have good health. No, you can't have bad health and serve him. He can't use a dysfunctional temple. He gave strict instructions to Solomon on the building of his temple. That was just for representation of just how much the Father, say this chair is a temple, is a being, a person, okay? Okay, y'all can't see it there. All right. Let me see if I can. All right. Okay, so you can't see the chair, but just pretend this chair is a vessel. All right. And the Father is walking around it and he's making sure, because he told Abraham, be thou perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So when he looks down at you, he wants to make sure he's seeing perfection that looks like him. And if there are some things that are of him, he will help you get rid of it, help you get it right. But you have to comply and obey. But the understanding of Babylon system is, no, I can wear my skinny jeans. I can get my tattoos. I can be punk rock, you white Christian churches. Or I can be all looking like the world. I can do a little nay, a little dance for the Most High. That's not set apart. We must see and seek the standard of holiness, being divinely different and unapologetically. No, his children will not look like the world. We will not speak like the world. We will not act like the world. Because there's also a decree of judgment for those that be in strange apparel. And we know what strange apparel is. I believe that those who are behind the clothing industry, aka Amalek, aka Jewish people, there is a sorcery of worship behind that. That for some odd reason, these homosexuals want to see men in tight pants and women stay in your tights. They want to keep sex as the forefront on everybody's mind out here. That if you dress like modest, you're looked at as strange. I'm the strange one. When you're out here naked, it's about 12 something degrees and you got tights on. And then they sit on stuff. So their juices and their guts and their DNA is going from chair to chair, place to place. Just keep that in mind while you talking about a COVID-19. He said, but he will put them upon all those that hate thee. He said this also in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7. If you obey me, keep my commandments, I will put all these curses on those who persecuted you and which hated you. So you can be a hater all you want. As long as you're hating me, I'll be obeying. While I'm obeying, you're setting yourself up for destruction. Keep that in mind, Jacob. Don't go toe to toe with your enemies. All you got to do is obey. And they will be dealt with. And thou shalt consume all the people which are hide thy keeper shall deliver thee. Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them. I don't care if it's little Sally she looks like a good old nice Sally. She's baked you some cookies and she just had twins. Oh my gosh, 2 twin babies. Most High said no pity, no mercy on you. What you got to do is when you see these nations having their babies and they're pregnant, you need to see future slaves or future children are going to be destroyed. That's what you need to see. Or future idolaters who's going to raise up like their parents and do the same wicked stuff their parents are done. That's what the Father sees. This is the mind of the Creator. People choose to ignore. They only want to take the good part, the part that looks nice and fabricated. For he is terrible as well. He has destroyed people from the flood. He has destroyed people by Sodom and Gomorrah. He has destroyed, and it didn't matter what their ages was. And guess what? He's going to do it again. So you Christians ought to stop playing around here and read the book. And those who know the commandments, don't dabble the fence. Go through the fire. Pass under the rod. Let him purge you. It is worth it. I assure you it is worth it. Let me read that again. Verse 16. And you shall consume all the people which I, thy keeper, shall deliver to thee. Don't be like Saul right here, he's saying. Don't be trying to spare none. Consume them all. Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shall you serve their deities, their gods, for that will be a snare unto you. Serving their gods will be a snare unto you. So they know what the snares are. They know what the traps are. They know how to set us up. Just like a crooked cop. I try to plant something on somebody. All I got to do is be like, Merry Christmas. I got you a gift. I got you a card. Yeah, okay.
I'm going to use your card.
If thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispose of them? if in your heart you get intimidated to doubt the Most High strength against with exalting self, when self says, I can't do it, first of all, you already said in your heart, there is no keeper. A fool says that. So when you start doing that, right, by fear, verse 18, thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what Ahijah thy keeper said unto Pharaoh, when he did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt. The great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, the wonders. Okay, I'm sorry, right there. Arm, whereby Ahijah thy keeper brought thee out, so shall Ahijah thy keeper do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. He's done it before. He's saying there's plenty where that came from. I want y'all to get some of this boldness, get some of this fierceness, get some of this faith, get some of this fire, that you are not intimidated. You will not see a judge, you will not see a police officer, you will not see no people, no companies. You will not fear IRS, you will not fear the president, you will not fear FBI, any of y'all. Y'all are nothing, and your strength is nothing, and your gods are nothing. You have no power. You're cowardly kittens. Verse 20. Moreover, Ahijah thy keeper will send the hornet among them, until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. So the hornets is the Most High. He said, I got insects of the air that I'll send for them. He said, I had the locusts eating their stuff up. I had their waters turning to blood. I had the frogs coming forth. I had brimstone coming down from the sky. I had complete darkness driving them nuts. Most High is like, I got a whole deck. What do you want? Fear? What? Thou shalt not fear the creation, but thou shalt fear the Creator. Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for Ahijah thy keeper is among you, a mighty keeper and terrible. And Ahijah thy keeper will put all those nations before thee. He will put out those nations before thee, little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. Not only the Most High I will destroy them, but I got method to it. So you have to follow his methods, aka what you would call statutes. Look how he's doing it now. Let's give y'all an update on the Chave Wither channel. Oh, got another one. Chave Wither channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Manado, it says, heavy flooding leaves streets filled with garbage in Manado, Indonesia. Okay. Hold on. She better not play. That's just one. Stand by. Semeru erupts in East Java, Indonesia. This was a day ago. Volcano eruption. Meanwhile, they're having their lovely little delicate church services in America. Like things are all swell. Not even aware of the times, nor could they even tell you the signs of the times. Wait, there's more. Sudden flash of flood sweeps vehicles away.
How can we
Where do you
contact
see this
the
one here?
bloggers? I think we've got been verified. You can do a username.
See that? You see, family. Forest fires fill the streets in Chile. If you could be in the scope of the Most High's eye and look down and see what was going on, you would understand how much of the end it is. And you would see how important Jacob waking up has unleashed all these prophetically. Wasn't no Christianity. Your old-fashioned dead gospel didn't do this. It was the waking up of Jacob. Creation recognized. Because Jacob waking up is according to the Most High's clocks in the heavens. He said to Abram, after 400 years, your children shall go into captivity. I mean, for 400 years, they should go into captivity. After 400 years, he will judge that nation. We were not in Egypt 400 years in captivity. Don't try it. We were not in the captivity of Nebuchadnezzar 400 years. We were not in the Arabian captivity, the Ping Ding dynasty to China. Yeah, y'all had us too. Yeah, it's America. It's y'all. Back to Deuteronomy 7, verse 22. And thy keeper will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But thy keeper shall deliver them unto you, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. So he said, I'm going to deliver them unto you. Like, DoorDash. He shall deliver their kings into thy hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. Destroy their name from under heaven. The very name they established from the time when they built Babylon, the tower. Let us build a name for ourselves. He said, you're going to destroy their name. From under heaven, there shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire their silver or gold that is on them. What is your problem? That is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be ensnared therein. For it is an abomination to a high thy keeper. What are you barking at? We rebuke that spirit off of you in the mighty name of Yeshua. You shall comply to the reading of the word. So be it. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination to thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Your crosses, your Jesus pieces. That's just a few to name. Detest it. Destroy your graven images. Yeah, that's right. Speaking of images, let's get into the book of the two Babylons, or the papal worship proved to be the worship of Nimrod and his wife out of the objects of worship. And here we were at, was it this one? Oh, Child of Syria? Child in Syria. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a pretty long one. Yeah. Yuck. All right. Nimrod, by establishing his power there, made it the foundation and the starting point of his greatness. In this respect, then the story of Ninus and of Nimrod exactly harmonious. The way, too, in which Ninus gained his power is the very way in which Nimrod erected his. There can be no doubt that it was by inuring his followers to the toils and dangers of the chase that he gradually formed them to be used to the use of arms, and so prepared them for aiding them in establishing his dominion. Just as Ninus, by training his companions for a long time in laborious exercises and hardships, qualified them for making him the first of the Assyrian kings. The conclusions deduced from these testimonies of ancient history are greatly strengthened by many additional considerations. In Genesis, we find a passage which, when it was meaning a properly understood, cast a very steady light on the subject. That passage, as given in the unauthorized version, runs thus: Out of the land went forth Ashur and builded Nineveh. This speaks of it as something remarkable that Ashur went out of the land of Shinar, while yet the human race in general went forth from the same land. It goes upon the suspicion that Ashur had some sort of divine right to that land, and that he had been in a manner expelled from it by Nimrod, while no divine right is elsewhere. Hinted at in the context, or seems capable of truth. Moreover, it represents Ashur as sitting up in the immediate neighborhood of Nimrod, as mighty as a kingdom as Nimrod himself, Ashur building 4 cities, one of which is emphatically said to have been great. Verse 12. While Nimrod, on this interpretation, built just the same number of cities, of which none is specially characterized as great, now it is in the last degree improbable that Nimrod would have quietly borne a rival so near him. To obviate such difficulties as these, it has been proposed to render the words, out of that land, he, Nimrod, went forth into Ashur or Assyria. But then, according to the ordinary usage of grammar, the word in the original should have been Ashura. Oh, so this is probably why she was called Azeroth. Hmm. Which this with the sign of the motion to a place affixed to it, whereas it is simply Ashur without any such sign of motion fixed. I am persuaded that the whole perplexity that commentators have hereto felt, there is a proper name in the passage where in reality no proper name exists. Ashur is the passive particular participle of a verb, which is in Chaldee sense signifies to make strong, and consequently signifies being strengthened or made strong. Read thus the whole passage is natural and easy. Verse 10. And the beginning of his Nimrod's kingdom was Babel and Erech, and Akkad, Assad, and Calneh. A beginning naturally implies something to succeed, and here we find it. Verse 11, out of that land he went forth being made strong, or when he had been made strong, Ashur, and builded Nineveh, etc. Now this exactly agrees with the statement in the ancient history of Justin. Ninus strengthened the greatness of his acquired dominion by continued possession, having subdued therefore his neighbors, when by accession of forces, being still further strengthened, He went forth against other tribes, and every new victory paved the way for another. He subdued all the peoples of the east. Thus then Nimrod or Ninus was the builder of Nineveh, and the origin of the name of that city as the habitation of Ninus is accounted for, and light is thereby at the same time cast on the fact that the name of the chief part of the ruins of Nineveh is Nimrod at this day. Now, assuming that Ninus is Nimrod, the way in which that assumption explains what is otherwise inexplicable in the statements of ancient history greatly confirms the truth of that assumption itself. Ninus is said to have been the son of Belus or Baal, and Baal is said to have been the founder of Babylon. If Ninus was in reality the first king of Babylon, how could Belus or Baal, his father, he said to be the founder of it? Both might very well be, as will appear if we consider who was Baal and what we can trace of his doings. If Ninus was Nimrod, who was the historical Baal? He must have been Cush, for Cush begot Nimrod. Genesis chapter 1, I believe, or 8. I'm not sure. It's a Roman numeral. And Cush is generally represented as having been a ringleader in the great apostasy, but against Cush, as the son of Ham was Hermes or Mercury, for Hermes is just an Egyptian synonym for the son of Ham. Now, Hermes was the great original prophet of idolatry, for he was recognized by the pagans as the author of their religious rites and an interpreter of the gods. The distinguished genius identifies him with the Babylonian Nebo and the prophetic god, and a statement of Hyginus shows that he was known as the grand agent in that movement which produced the division of tongues. His words are these: for many ages lived under the government of Jove, evidently at the Roman Jupiter. But the Jehovah, the Jehovah of the Hebrews, okay, so this person who wrote this doesn't understand that Jehovah is also Baal, okay? So the keeper of the, what they know as Hebrews, without cities and without laws. You mean walls? Because we definitely had laws. And all speaking one language. Okay, so it said, what? For many, don't play with me. For many ages, men lived under the government of Jove, evidently not the Roman Jupiter. Okay, but okay, so they're saying for many ages, men lived under the government of the keeper of the laws of the Most High. Okay. So I'll read it again. For many ages, men lived under the government of Jove, evidently not the Roman Jupiter, but who he put Jehovah, okay, the keeper of the Hebrews, without cities and without laws, and all speaking one language. But after that, Mercury interpreted the speeches of men. Once an interpreter is called Hermeteus, the same individual distributed the nations. Then discord began. Here there is a manifest igma. How could Mercury or Hermes have any need to interpret the speeches of mankind when they all spake one language? To find out the meaning of this, we must go to the language of the mysteries. Perish and Chaldea signifies to interpret. So perish and Chaldee signifies to interpret, but was pronounced by old Egyptians and by Greeks, and often by the Chaldees themselves in the same way as Paris, to divide. Mercury then, or Hermes, or Cush, the son of Ham, was the divider of the speeches of men. He, it would seem, had been the ringleader in the scheme for building the great city and tower of Babel, and was the well-known title of Hermes, the interpreter of the gods, what it did indicate had encouraged. So since he was the ringleader of the dividing of the languages, he was the one that also was that brought the agreement of the languages together for the one accord to build the Tower of Babel, to build this system of idolatry. So when you think about tower, it was probably the monument of their worship that you would look towards, but within that building, it was things anti of the creator. You don't gonna recognize his laws. You're gonna recognize this. Like David said, I will look unto the hills from whence cometh my help. This little funny character wanted people to look unto the Tower of Babel from whence comes deception. All right. So interpreter of gods would indicate had encouraged them in the name of Ahijah. So that means when he did that, he had to encourage them the name of the Creator. So by him bringing division through languages, if it's like the same one that can hurt you wants to hurt you or cause a problem so that he can be the one, the hero. So he wanted to be the one to seem like he was bringing the clarity between the different languages. But like you said, everybody was speaking one language, right? So what was the different language he was bringing? The different understanding. Like he'll probably go over here to the Egyptians and be like, yo, this really don't mean that. This really mean something, and distort their whole understanding to pervert their respect and reference to the Most High's laws. Then go over here and do it to these people. Then go over to these people, and they're all confused in what they thought they knew. And he's like, you got to come on to me. I'm going to bring you clarity. I'm going to fix it for you. Let me give you the Band-Aid. Like those sick old people that call sicknesses and they go to the hospital for help. All right, there was a movie about something like that on Lifetime, yo. Back in the day, I saw that once upon a time. All right. Okay, so back here we are. Okay, so let's see. Let me read that part again. All right, because it's cut off, and I like to, make it be smooth for you. All right, so it says, so it would seem had been the ringleader in the scheme for building the great city and Tower of Babel, and as the well-known title of Hermes, the interpreter of the gods, would indicate had encouraged them in the name of Ahijah to proceed in their promiscuous enterprise, and so had caused the language of men to be divided and themselves to be scattered abroad on the face of the earth. Now look at the name of Belus or Bel, given to the father of Ninus or Nimrod in connection with this. While the Greek name Belus represented both Baal and Bel of the Chaldees, these were nevertheless two entirely distinct titles. These titles were both alike often given to the same god, but they had totally different meanings. Baal, as we have already seen, signified the Lord, but Bel signified the confounder. When then we read that Belus, the father of Ninus, was he that built or founded Babylon, Babylon, can there be a doubt in what sense it was that the title of Belus was given to him? Slow down my motor, Father. It must have been in the sense of Bel, the confounder, and to this meaning of the name of the Babylonian Bel. There is a very distinct allusion in Jeremiah chapter 1, or 1 and 2. Yeah, chapters 1 and 2, where it is said, Bel is confounded. That is, the confounder is brought to confusion. That Cush was known to pagan antiquity under the very character of Bel, the confounder. A statement of Ovid very clearly proves. The statement to which I refer is that when Janus, the god of gods, from whom all the other gods had their origin, is made to say of himself, the ancients called me chaos. Now, first, this decisively shows that chaos was known not merely as a state of confusion, but as the god of confusion. But secondly, who that is all acquainted with the laws of Chaldaic pronunciation does not know that chaos is just one of the established forms of the name of Chus or Cush. Then look at the symbol of Janus. So we have symbols over here. They want to show you guys. All right, what's that? Okay. See figure 7. All right. Whom the ancients called chaos, and it will be seen how exactly it tallies with the doings of Cush when he is identified with Bel, the confounder. That symbol is a club. And the name of a club in Chaldee comes from the very word which signifies to break in pieces or scatter abroad. He who caused the confusion or tongues was he who broke the previously united earth. Told you, through my understanding and comprehension what I was reading, the same one that caused the issue wanted to look like he was the one that was trying to fix stuff and pieces and scattered the fragments abroad. How significant then, as a symbol, is the club, as commemorating the work of Cush as Baal the confound, and that significance will be all the more apparent when the reader turns to the Hebrew or of Genesis 9 and finds that the very word from which a club derives its name is that which is employed by when it is said that the consequence of the confusion of tongues, the children of men were scattered abroad on the face of all the earth. The word there used for scattering abroad in Hephates, which in the Greek form comes from hepatares or hepates, and hence the origin of the well-known but little understood name of Hepatosius or Hephaestus, as applied to Vulcan, the father of the gods. Hephaestus is the name of the ringleader in the first rebellion. As the scattered abroad, as Baal is the name of the same individual as the confounder of tongues. Here then the reader may see the real origin of Vulcan's hammer, which is just another name for the club. Wait a minute, isn't there a so-called superhero that has a hammer? What is that guy? What is that character? Thor? Let me see if that's him. I'm thinking that's the one. Bear with me, family. Let's talk about a hammer. Image of Thor.
Images of Thor. All right.
Yep, he's got a hammer. There you have it. What's the reason of him having that hammer, huh? There you go, family. The guy Thor with the hammer. Of course, he's an Edomite. Okay, the name for the club of Janus or Chaos, the god of confusion, and to this as breaking the earth in pieces. There is a convert allusion in Jeremiah 123, where Babylon, as identified with the primeval God, is thus apostrophized. Okay, apostrophized. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? It's so much stuff in Jeremiah. Come on. Now, as the tower building was the first act of open rebellion after the flood, and Cush, as Baal was the ringleader in it, he was, of course, the first to whom the name Merodach, the great rebel, must have been given, and therefore, according to the usual parallelism of the prophetic language, we find both names of the Babylonian god referred together when the judgment on Babylon is predicted. Baal is confounded. Merodach is broken to pieces, Jeremiah 1 and 2. The judgment comes upon the Babylonian god according to what he had done. As Baal, he had confounded the whole earth, therefore he is confounded. As Merodach, by the rebellion he had stirred up, he had broken the united world to pieces. Therefore, he himself is broken to pieces. So much for the historical character of Baal and identified with Janus or Chaos, the god of confusion, which with his symbol club. So it's about a symbol club. So here it is. That guy, they got that guy Thor with a thing in his hand, like it's a club, like a hammer or a club. I just want to understand what was supposed to be Thor's position in his little fairy tale land. What was the role of Thor?
Thor is a 2011 movie directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Chris Hemsworth.
I didn't ask you that. What was the role and position of Thor?
According to Marvel.com, the son of Odin uses uses his mighty abilities as the god of thunder to protect his home Asgard and planet Earth alike. Thor Odinson wields the power of the ancient Asgardians to fight evil throughout the 9 realms and beyond.
How you gonna fight evil without the word of the Most High? Stop playing with me. Keep it moving. Proceeding then on these deductions, it is not difficult to see how it might be said that Bel or Belus, the father of Ninus, founded Babylon, while nevertheless Ninus or Nimrod was properly the builder of it. Now, though Bel or Cush, as being specially concerned in laying the first foundations of Babylon, might be looked upon as the first king in some of the copies of, let me get this close to the light, Eshubin bus, Eus bus, whatever that word is, chronicle. He is represented, yet it is evident from both scared history and profane that he could never have been reigned as king of the Babylonian monarchy, properly so called, and accordingly in the Armenian version of the chronicle of Ishbus, whatever, which bears the undisputed palm for correctness and authority. His name is entirely omitted in the list of the Assyrian kings, and that Ninus stands first in such terms as exactly correspond with the scriptural account of Nimrod. Thus, then, looking at the fact that Ninus is currently made by an iniquity, the son of Belus or Bel, when we have seen that the historical Bel is Cush, the identity of Ninus and Nimrod is still further confirmed. But when we look at what is said of Semiramis, the wife of Ninus, the evidence receives an additional development. That evidence goes conclusively to show that the wife of Ninus could be none other than the wife of Nimrod, and further to bring out one of the grand characters in which Nimrod, when deified, was adorned. In Daniel 30, we read of a god called Allah Mahalamems, Mahozim, i.e. the god of fortifications, which is the god of fortification, could be. Commentators have found themselves at a loss. I need more light. All right. In the records, okay, commentators have found themselves at a loss to determine. In the records of antiquity, the existence of any god of fortifications has been calmly overlooked, and it must be confessed that no such god stands forth there with any prominence to the ordinary reader. But of those existence of a goddess of fortification, should say fornication, everyone knows that there is the amplest evidence that goddess is Sybil, who is universally represented with a mural or turreted crown, or with the fortification on her head. So the fortification is like a fortress on her head. Yeah. Why was Rhea or Cybele thus represented? Ovid asks the question and answers it himself. And the answer is this. The reason he says why the statue of Sybil wore a crown of towers was because she first erected them in cities. The first city in the world after the flood, from whence the commencement of the world itself was often dated, that had towers and encompassing walls, was Babylon. And Ovid himself tells us that it was Semiramis, the first queen of that city, who was believed to have surrounded Babylon with a wall of brick. Semiramis, then the first deified queen of that city and tower, whose top was intended to reach to heaven, must have been the prototype of the goddess who first made towers and cities. I think this is what they try to make Beyonce be. Like, she's supposed to be the first queen of, I don't know, what is it, R&B? In other words, she done deify herself in somebody else's type of form. When we look at the Ephesian Diana, we find evidence to the very same effect. In general, Diana was depicted as a virgin and the something of virginity, patroness of virginity. But the Ephesian Diana was quite different. She was represented with all the attributes of the mother of the gods, see figure 8. And as the mother of the gods, she wore a turreted crown, such as one can contemplate without being forcibly reminded of the Tower of Babel. Now, this tower bearing Diana is by ancient solicitors expressly. Here we go. See that old ugly Joan? Ain't she ugly? Quite clear she's Edomite. If she ain't Edomite, because Esau probably wasn't born. In other words, she's a being that's pale. They made sure they made all. You know what they did? They wanted to be everything. They even wanted to be the bad ones. Identify with Semiramis when therefore we remember that Rhea or Silbi, the tower bearing goddess, was in point of fact a Babylonian goddess, and that the Semiramis was deified, was worshipped under the name of Rhea. There will remain, I think, no doubt as to the personal identity of the goddess of fortifications. Now, there is no reason to believe that Semiramis alone, though some have represented the matter so, built the battlements of Babylon. We have the testimony of the ancient historian Irenaeus of Tyre, as preserved by Megasthenes, that it was Belus who surrounded Babylon with a wall, as Bel, the confounder who began the city and tower of Babel, had to leave both unfinished. This could not refer to him. It could refer only to his son Ninus, who inherited his father's title and who was the first actual king of Babylonian Empire, and consequently Nimrod. The real reason that Semiramis, the wife of Ninus, gained the glory of finishing the fortifications of Babylon was that she came in the esteem of the ancient idolatries to hold a predominating position, and to have attributed to her all the different characters that belonged or were supposed to belong to her husband. Having ascertained them, one of the characters in which she deified wife was worshipped, we may from the conclude what was the corresponding character of the deified husband. Layer distinctly indicates his belief that Rhea or Silbi, the tower crowned goddess, was just a female counterpart of the deity presiding over bulwarks or fortresses, and that this deity was Ninus or Nimrod. We have still further evidence from what the scattered notices of antiquity say of the first deified king of Babylon, under a name that identifies him as the husband of Rhea, the tower bearing goddess. That name is Kronos, or Saturn. It is well known that Saturn was Rhea's husband, but it is not so well known who was Kronos himself. Traced back to his original, that divinity is proved to have been the first king of Babylon. Theophilus of Antioch shows that Saturn in the east was worshipped under the names of Bel and Baal, and from Eusebius we learn that the first of the Assyrian kings, whose name was Belos, was also by the Assyrians called Kronos. As the genuine copies of Eusebius do not admit of any Belus. Oh man, why does print gotta look like this? As an actual king of Assyria, prior to Ninus, king of the Babylonians, and distinct from him, and shows that Ninus, the first king of Babylon, was Kronos. But further, we find that Kronos was king of the Cyclops, who were his brethren, and who derived that name from him, and that the Cyclops were known as the inventors of tower building. The king of the Cyclops, the inventors of tower building, occupied a position exactly corresponding to that of Rhea, who first erected towers in cities. So this tower thing is really an invention of wicked ones. That's another thing that America has done. They got like the twin towers, and they got all these towers that they build their nests really high to the sky. All right. Okay, position who first erected the tower cities. If therefore Rhea, the wife of K, but aka Saturn, was the goddess of fortifications, the husband of Rhea, that is Ninus or Nimrod, the first king of Babylon, must have been Allah Mahawizim, the god of the fortifications. Oh, Ahaya, I thank you that you are so simple because this stuff is disgusting. The same Saturn himself goes not a little goes not a little to confirm the argument. Saturn signifies the horned one, as a horn is a well-known Oriental emblem for power or might. Saturn, the horned one, was, according to the mystic system, just a synonym for the scriptural epithet applied to Nimrod, Vix Geber, the mighty one. Genesis 11. He began to be mighty on earth. The name Saturn, as the classical reader is well aware, is applied to Saturn as the father of the gods. We have already had another father of the gods brought under our notice, even Cush, in the character of Bel, the confounder, or Hephaestus, the scattered abroad. And it is easy to understand how, when the deification of mortals began, the mighty son of Cush was deified the father, especially considering the part which he seems to have had in connoting the whole idolatrous system would have to be defied too, and of course, in his character as the father of the mighty one and of all the immortals that succeeded him. But in point of that fact, we shall find in the course of our inquiry that Nimrod was the actual father of the gods, as being the first of deified mortals, and that therefore it is in exact accordance with historical fact that Saturn, the horned or mighty one, is the classic pantheon known by that title. The meaning of this name, Saturn, the Chronos, the horned one, as applied to Nimrod, fully explains the origin of the remarkable symbol so frequently occurring among the Nineveh sculptures, the gigantic horned man bull, as representing the great divinity. So when y'all see that, what they call the Baphomet, that horned thing, it's the same as this. Okay, the gigantic horned man bull, as representing the great divinities in Assyria. The same word that signified a bull signified also a ruler or prince. Hence, the horned bull signified the mighty prince, thereby pointing back to the first of those mighty ones who, under the name of Gabris or Cabrari, occupied so conspicuous a place in the ancient world, and to whom the deified Syrian monarchs covertly trace back to the origin of their greatness and might. This explains the reason why the Bacchus of the Greeks was represented as wearing horns, and why he was frequently addressed by the epithet bullhorn as one of the high titles of his dignity. Even in comparatively recent times, Togrul Beg, the leader of the Seljuq Turks, who came from the neighborhood of the Epirites, was in a similar manner represented with 3 horns growing out of his head as the emblem of his sovereignty. This also, in a remarkable way, accounts for the origin of one of the divinities worshipped by our pagan Anglo-Saxon ancestors, not ours, yours. Under the name of Zerbogus, this Zerbogus was the black, malevolent, ill divinity. In other words, the exact counterpart of the popular idea of the devil, as supposed to be black and equipped with horns. And why I gotta say black and hoofs? In other words, the Baphomet bat, y'all, like I was telling y'all. Okay, so that's his head, but he looked like a Caucasian. The black is probably talking about darkness. You ain't gonna try to identify black as being the devil, you know. Let's not do that. But anyway, black is an identification for us anyhow. We're the children of light. So he said, black and equipped with horns and hoofs. This name, analyzed and compared with the accompanying woodcut from Layard, cast a very singular light on the source from whence has come the popular superstition in regards to the grand adversary. The name Zer-Nebogus is also almost pure Chaldee, and seems to unfold itself as denoting the seed of the prophet Cush. We have seen reason already to conclude that under the name Baal, as distinguished from Baal, Cush was the great soothsayer or false prophet worshipped at Babylon. But independent inquirers have been led to the conclusion that Baal and Nebo were just two different titles for the same God, and that the prophetic God. Thus does Keto comment on the words Isaiah 1. Baal bowed down, Nebo stupid, with reference to the latter name. Yes?
Mommy,
What?
when you done?
I got one more page. I'm going to stop at this one. All right, what you want? What you want to do?
I'm watching Talking Tom. And yeah.
All right. We're going to play the little Bible Monopoly game when I'm done, okay? While I got some food on for you. All right. So we have seen reason already to conclude that. Okay, I read that. I'm not reading that again. Okay. Baal bowed down, Nebo stupid, with reference to the latter name. The word seems to come from Nebo, to deliver an oracle or to prophesy, and hence would mean oracle. And yo! Zebediah, you in here? You on that couch still? Leave her alone. And may thus, as commonly suggests, commentary, literal, and lock, be no more than another name for Baal himself, or a characterizing epithet. I can't get that word, darn it. Applied to him, it is being not usual to repeat the same thing or in the same verse in equivalent terms. Zer-Nebo-Gus, the great seed of the prophet Cush, was of course Nimrod, for Cush was Nimrod's father. Turn now to Laor and see how this land of ours and Assyria are thus brought into an intimate connection. In the woodcut referred to, first we find the Assyrian Hercules, that is Nimrod, the giant, as he is called in the Septuagint versions of Genesis, without clubs, spear, or weapons of any kind, attacking a bull. Having overcome it, he sets the bull's horns on his heads as a trophy of victory and a symbol of power. Disgusting. And thenceforth, the hero is represented not only with the horns and hooves above, but from the middle downwards with the legs and cloven feet of the bull. Thus equipped, he is represented as turning next to encounter a lion. This, in all likelihood, is intended to commemorate some event in the life of him who first began to be mighty in this chase and in war, and who's, according to all ancient traditions, well, he might have messed with a bull, but you come with the lion of your Judah, you ain't messing with my brother. I'll tell you that much. In all ancient traditions was remarkable also for bodily power, as being the leader of the giants that rebelled against heaven. Now Nimrod was the son of Cush, was black, in other words, as was a Negro. So it's just that, you know, the Cushites look like Negroes. Notice it said black as a Negro. Letting you know that the Cushites were giants that were dark. Okay. But Ham and Negroes were different. We were never like identified with being Negroes. Greetings, brother Sav King. Shalom. Welcome. I don't know if you just coming in, but I'm reading right now. The two Babylons of paper worship proven to be the similarities. Yeah. It's getting interesting, man. We in the objects of worship on page 50, and it is just nuts. It says the objects of worship, but on one page it says a child in Assyria. It's describing to you like how Nimrod and the bull, it was the same, and that the actual ones who were the giants were the defiers of heaven, aka the fallen ones. I always thought that though myself. I didn't think that they were a creation of the Most High, because the Most High's creation was good. All right. So it says giants that rebelled against heaven. Now Nimrod, as the sons of Cush, was black. In other words, was a Negro. Nah. Just because you black don't make you a Negro. Just because you brown don't make you a Negro. This is a person whose white mate wrote this. Because he was identifying, he said, my Anglo-Saxon ancestor. That's your Anglo-Saxon. So you snitching. So we understand you don't got no understanding. You think everybody brown is a Negro. Stop. Can the Ethiopian change his skin? Is in the original. Can the Cushite do so? So he takes a scripture. Oh gosh, help me follow with these people. Keeping this then in mind, it will be seen that in that figure. Notice he wanted to identify the one giant with black skin, but he didn't identify the rest of them though. You don't got to though, because the pictures clearly show us they are pale skins with their stringy doggy hair. All right. Keeping this then in mind, it will be seen that in that figure, this tomb from Nineveh, we have both the prototype of the Anglo-Saxon Zir-Nebo-Gus, the seed of the prophet Cush, and the real original of the black adversary of mankind with horns and hooves. So he basically just tried to make the Baphomet be black. He just tried to say he was a black man. Talking about keeping that in mind. Yo, let me holler at you, Angela. Let me see what you look like, Angela. And what's his name? Alexander Hyssop. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. Real quick. Pictures of Alexander Hyssop. No,
Okay,
I ain't
images
say
of
it. Pictures of Alexander Hyssop. Hislop.
Okay, Alexander Hislop.
Yup. There go that old devil. Oh, look at this one. The two Babylons of the paper worship proved to be the worship of Nimrod and his wife with the little 666 on there. In other words, that 666 is just worship of those who are walk opposite of the Most High's way. 666 is just your John 666. That's what it is. Somebody asks you what's John 666, tell them to explain to you. They got a little ugly little white woman with the baby. There she go. I got another copy. I think I got this one. I think the orange one. I got that one too. Let's carry on, family. He tried it. We have both the prototype of the Anglo-Saxon, the Zir-Nebo-Gus, the seed of the prophet Cush, and the real original of the black adversary of mankind with horns and hooves. You know, he said the black adversary of mankind, trying to say the adversary of mankind is black. That is racist. You can't even write the book without being racist, though. Y'all the daggone devils of mankind. How you gonna talk about giants, but don't talk about them in a distasteful way other than saying the fires of heaven, but then say somebody black. That's wicked. Black adversary of mankind with horns and hooves. It was in a different character of the adversary that Nimrod was originally worshipped, but among a people of fair complexion. Here we go. What is fair complexion? Peachy, pale skin, looking like raw meat. As the Anglo-Saxons, it was inevitable that if worshipped at all, it was generally be simply as an object of fear. And so he trying to say the black devil of mankind was trying to make the people of fair skin be intimidated and fearful of them because he was black. Demonic, yo, demonic. Okay. But among a people of fair complexion, as the Anglo-Saxons, it was inevitable that if worshipped at all, it must generally be simply as an object of fear. So they was like, we only worship him because they was afraid of him. They didn't really want to worship him. And so basically what they're saying is that if you black, I'll only worship because I'm afraid of you. In other words, they're letting you know I will not worship no black God. That's their real attitude. And so Saturn, the horn one, who were the horns as the emblem both of his physical might and sovereign power, has come to be in popular superstition the recognized representative of the devil. In many and far served countries, horns became the symbols of sovereign power. The corona or crown, look, it said corona. I kid you not. Or crown that still encircles the brows of European monarchs seems remotely to be derived from the emblem of the might adopted by Saturn, who, according to Parasite, Paralytes, whatever, was the first before all others that ever wore a crown. The first regal crown appears to have been only a band in which the horns were set. From the idea of power contained in the horn, even subordinate rulers seem to have worn a circlet adorned with a single horn and a token of derived from authority. Bruce the Abyssinian traveler gives examples of Abyssinian chiefs thus decorated, in regard to whom he states that the horn attracted to his particular attention when he perceived that the governors of provinces were distinguished by this hand dress. In the case of sovereign powers, the royal handband was adorned sometimes with a double, sometimes with a triple horn. The double horn had evidently been the original symbol of power or might on the part of sovereigns or the Egyptian monuments. The heads of that deified royal personages have generally no more than the two horns to shadow forth their power, as sovereignty in Nimrod's case was founded on physical force. Look at this picture. Shalom, brother, born savior. Must have foul skin if they have. Exactly, bro. With that mindset. That's what they're trying to say. But they look like raw chicken, though. Nobody wants light-skinned chicken. Everybody wants their chicken to come out golden brown. Everybody like chicken. Who don't like chicken? Vegans? We ain't talking to you. But anyway, when you get the chicken in the store, it's all yellow and everything. Don't it resemble their skin? They call us color, but we can see their varicose brains, blue and dark purple. When we go in the sun, we get beautiful shades of brown. We glow. Our skin glistens. We be looking like liquid gold. I'm not being petty. I'm being real. I thank the Father he didn't make me nobody's pale skinned dog. I'm real. I'm keeping it all the way real with you. Of the bull were the symbols of that physical force, and in accordance with this, we read Santushaton that Astarte put on her own head a bull's head as the ensign of royalty. By and by, however, another and a higher idea came in, and the expression of that idea was seen in the symbol of the three horns. A cap seems, in course of time, to have come to be associated with the regal horns in Assyria. The three-horn cap was one of the scare emblems and token that the power connected with it was of celestial origin. They're trying to let everybody know I'm not a mere person. Look at this person. They got more than one hand. Am I seeing things, or is that more than one hands? I mean, arms. Don't she got more than one arm? Oh, I'm going to throw up. Something that is outside of the creation of our Father, which is not good, makes you want to throw up. You can imagine. It's bad enough that you got pink pig. Exactly. It's bad enough to see the mid-sized pink pigs, but could you imagine a giant pink pig? How it smell when it come from being outside? Ugh. Because they smell. Then there's sweat. Oh my goodness. You know, you got to say big ups to us, our King David. Like, I know this is not funny. This is not written in the word, but let's just think about this, though. Let's just think about this. They're giants. Could you imagine a giant's bowel movement somewhere you walk into, like somebody stepping dog poop? That's one thing. But could you imagine, like, oh my gosh, ain't nobody trying to move that giant's bowel out the way? You'd be like, you smell that joint from before you even come. Like the horses probably be like, or just imagine a giant's throw up. or a giant's dead body somewhere smelling. Like after he slayed Goliath, like, oh, how did the Most High, like, what did the cleanup crew? Oh, the crows must have came and got him. The Most High just sent some extra crows on that one, buzzards and all that. I would, after, if I was there after I would have cut his head off, I would have like, Father, I'm gonna need you to bring cleanup crew, Father. We don't want to, with another day of the hot sun come out for his abomination for us to even look behold his body. Okay. All right, carrying on. Still, we have indications that the horn band without any cap was actually the corona or royal crown. Isn't it funny, in the days of the coronavirus under the scope, it looks like a crown? So is this the plague of those that worship? So basically, whenever the Most High would judge a nation, he would do it by their gods. And so that we know that the Most High was striking the American flags and that one church over at the Rome place, what was that, cathedral, something like that. And just Most High been doing different signs by this pandemic or virus being called the coronavirus. Under the scope looks like a crown, and we're talking about Babylon's deities and their crowns on their heads that they wore. You know, something on your head signifies what was an outward, it's like your glory. And so their glory was rebellion, because it said a three-horned one would represent celestial. And I'm not really remembering, but I think celestial is let me see, I want to assume, but I'm not sure. Is a celestial like the ones that we are and they're terrestrial? Let me just see. What is a celestial being?
According to Wikipedia, celestial being may refer to a sky deity, an angel, extraterrestrial life.
In other words, the fallen ones. A sky being, deity. Example, y'all. Y'all remember I was live yesterday? If you didn't see my live stream yesterday, you know YouTube be hiding stuff. But I did a video yesterday when it was Worshiping to His Rest, number 2. And there was this old ancient fallen one, aka named Gabriel, messenger of the wicked, fallen angel, who came in. As soon as he came in, the Holy Spirit was like, there you go. I was like, oh, here we go. And after we started talking about blasphemy, which he got rebuked for, ruffling his feathers, he's like, gotta fly. Like, you so vain, like you so puffed up, like not vain, but you so like to tell on yourself, like you so want that attention. You happy that you was a fallen, like you pressed. Like nobody's pressed. My son was like, he just want his name to be known. Like my son say is like, he said, he know I will rebuke him. He said, he just got his name all caps, some Gabriel Warrior. Boy, sit down somewhere. Set your little pinky self down somewhere. Go smoke a cigarette and have a good day. Smoke a whole pack while you at it. You and your little girlfriend. Your little trash girlfriend. Okay. We know a 30 y'all down here, y'all 30 y'all bounded. We know a 30 y'all can't get y'all will not be able to fly again, like Kevin Gates said in that one song, fly again, but you ain't gonna be flying nobody's where. We know that that y'all mad at the judges of the earth. We know. So celestial origin. So sky, what is the word again? Yeah, he right got rebuked yesterday. So a sky deity, an angel. Bottom line, an angel of the fallen. All right. Now I know angel of the fallen. All right. So it's saying. So in token that the power connected with it was of the fallen angel's origin. The 3 horns evidently pointing at the power of the Trinity. This is why he kept coming here trying to defend his mother, his mommy, his mama. Oh, mommy. Still, we have indications that the horn band without any cap was anciently the corona or royal crown. The crown borne by the Hindu god y'all know her name, I ain't saying it. And his avatar of the fish is just an open circle. The fish, remember the Christians have that emblem of the fish? The Pope wears it on his head. The fish. Okay? It's just an open circle or band with three horns standing erect from it. So the Pope's fish is standing up. All right, erected up, right? From it with the knob on the top of each horn. All the avatars are represented as crown with the crown that seems to have been modeled from this, consisting of a coronet with the 3 points standing erect from it, in which Sir William Jones recognizes the Ethiopian or Parthian coronet. The open tiara of Agni, the Hindu god of fire, shows in its lower round the double horn, made in the very same way as in Assyria, proving it at once the ancient custom and whence that custom had. Instead of the three horns, three-horned shaped leaves came to be substituted. See the way they say they found a 3-leaf clover? Good luck. That's superstition, stupid stuff, boy. And then already they got the little green out in the stores for the little St. Patrick's. February ain't they're from, well, not February, but their so-called that deity they named after that month ain't even touched down yet, and they already got green and Valentine stuff out here. Like, you can't even take a deep breath from Santa Claus and the devil and his reindeers before the little naked baby come flying somewhere. It's so sickening, and they're all flyers, devils of the air. Instead of the three horns, the three-horn shaped leaves can be substituted, and thus the horn band gradually passed into the modern coronet and the crown with 3 leaves of the fleur-de-lis. So whenever you see the Greeks wear the little brass little crowns with as leaves, they were probably substituting that from this. Or other familiar 3-leaf adornings. See, among the Red Indians of America, there had evidently been something entirely analogous to the Babylonian custom of wearing the horns. For in the buffalo dance, there each of the dancers had his head arrayed with buffalo horns, and it is worthy of a special remark that the satiric dance or dance of the satyrs in Greece seems to have been the counterpart of the Red Indian solemnity. For the satyrs were horned divinities, and consequently those who imitated their dance must have had their heads set off in imitation of theirs. This is an assumption he's coming up with. He don't have no evidence on that, but the chances it could be similar because it makes a lot of sense then. When thus we find a custom that is clearly founded on a form of speech that characteristically distinguished the region where Nimrod's power was wielded, used in so many different countries, far removed from one another, where no such form of speech was used in ordinary life, we may be sure that such a custom was not the result of mere accident, but that it indicates the widespread diffusion of an influence that went forth in all directions from Babylon from the time of Nimrod first began to be mighty on the earth. So here's the pictures of those two. Here's like a little ancient picture of like the little Indian one, and then that little ugly thing. Look at this. Foolishness. What does a four-legged animal need wings for? And why would it need a head of a man? No. Everything the Creator made was good. There was another way in which Nimrod's power was symbolized, besides by the horn. A synonym for Geber, the mighty one, was Abir, while Eber also signified a wing, Nimrod, a wing. Nimrod, as head and captain of those men of war, by whom he surrounded himself and who were the instruments of establishing his power, was Baal Abrim, Lord of the mighty ones. So it would probably be the one that caused them to fall. Their might was according to their original state, I guess, when they were in the heavens. But when they fell, they had might, but they used their might for wickedness. Makes any sense? Because we read that that Satan was able to go up to the one of the heavens, and the Most High was like, "And where did you come from?" And he was like, "For winds to and fro in the earth." So he was still able to fly because he was able to get up there. But after Yeshua got the keys, that access was denied. Sorry about it. Access denied. Okay. But Baal Habrin, pronounced nearly the same way, signified the winged one. And therefore, in symbol, he was represented not only as a horn bull, but as at once a horn and winged bull, sickening, as showing not merely that he was mighty himself, but that he had unity ones under his command who were ever ready to carry his will into effect and to put down all opposition to his power. Satan trying to have his like, and I will exalt myself above the Most High and have a throne like him on the earth. So the ones that fell with him were under him, because after all, he the reason why they got kicked out. So, like on the Lion King, when the three hyenas like, but where do we feature? He was like, just listen to teacher. If you listen to me, you'll never go hungry again. Be prepared. Remember that part, y'all? In the movie, The Lion King. Well, it's the same with Lucifer and the little stupid ones underneath him. They're just the hyenas. Let me stop messing with them. Let me stop taunting them. But I was doing good, minding my own business, so they swooped down and come over here bothering me. Don't come bothering me. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Okay? And that's why they bother you. But the winged one, and therefore in symbol, he was represented not only as a horn bull, but as at once a horn and winged bull, as shown. Okay, I'm not reading that again. Okay. And to shadow for the vast extent of his might, he was represented with great and wide expanding wings. To this mode of representing the mighty kings of Babylon and Assyria, who had imitated Nimrod and his successors, there is manifest allusion in Isaiah. Allusion, for as much as this people refused the waters of Shiloh, that go softly and rejoice in Rezim and Remaliah's son. Now therefore, behold, the Most High bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and mighty, even the king of Syria, and all his glory. And he shall come up over all his banks, and he shall pass through Judah, and he shall overthrow and go over. He shall reach even unto the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of the land. O Immanuel. I guess that's his name. Oh my. So I guess that's the name of the angel. I'm gonna show y'all. Don't be too pressed about the ones with the L's. But I think a lot of them were there are righteous angels with L's names, but the wicked ones, they like to tell you their names. They love to let you know their names. They're not supposed to do that. Because they're supposed to come in the name of Ahio. You're not supposed to be wanting. That's the name of the one he said that would have. That's the name of this thing here. That. Remember when we read in Judges? I can't remember what chapter it was, but we're reading about in Solomon. Not Solomon, but Samson. as him being a Nazarite, a baby. His mom, Manoah, the dad, and his mom was visited by an angel. And the dad, who was a little slightly unlearned, lack in faith, kept asking the angel what his name was and how he can make honor to him. And the angel was like, "Why you keep asking my name, seeing that it is secret? It's not supposed to be said. I'm only supposed to come and to say that thus saith the Most High." So when they come on here with their caps, with their name all big and bold, and telling you constantly in their videos, "I'm Gabriel, I'm Gabriel," woo, woo, woo. You're just telling yourself that you're a whole following. That's what you're doing. All right. When we look at such figures as those which are here represented presented to the reader, figures 14 and 15, with their great extent of expanded wing as symbolizing an Assyrian king, what a vividness and force does it give to the inspired language of the prophet, and how clear it is also that the stretching forth of the Assyrian monarch wings that was to feel the breath of that fall on one's land, as that very symbolic meaning to which I have referred to. So when you understand when it says their lands and stuff and why they're so territorial, is because the Most High sent them down here. He bounded them down here. And because they were, like I told y'all before, I hope y'all really could see that in Psalms 19 verse 7, that is actually when the war in the heaven really was they went nuts. When the highest said the law is perfect, he was saying the image of Yeshua is the image of him is perfect. His image is perfect. They were, because you understand, they give you the description of Lucifer. And it says how he, was supposed to be beautiful and all this and the third. But Yeshua was not one desire to look on. In other words, people don't desire to look upon the word. They desire to look after their own way. Not saying my brother was he was an ugly man. He wasn't built in a fashion for you to be alert by him by the eyes. He wanted the spiritual eye to catch upon him. That's why. But just keep it all in mind. They were jealous in the heavens. They were acting a fool. When the Most High was basically saying, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased, and he will fulfill my will." With their jealous selves. Meaning to which I have referred, the overspreading of the land by the mighty ones, or the host of armed men that the king of Babylon was to bring with him in his overflowing invasion. The knowledge of the way in which the Assyrian monarchs were represented and of the meaning of that representation gives additional force to the story of the dream of Cyrus the Great, as told by Herodotus. Cyrus, says the historian, dreamt that he saw the son of one of his princes, who was at that time in a distant province, with two great wings on his shoulders, the one of which overshadowed Asia and the other of Europe, from which he immediately concluded that he was organizing rebellion against him. The symbols of the Babylonians, whose capital Cyrus had taken and to whose power he had succeeded, were entirely familiar to him. And if the wings were the symbols of sovereign power, and the possession of them implied the lordship over the might or the armies of the empire, it is easy to see how very naturally any suspicious or disloyalty affecting the individual in question might take shape in the manner related in the dreams of him who might harbor these suspicions. Now, the understanding of this equivocal sense of Valharan can alone explain the remarkable statement of Aristophanes that at the beginning of the world, the birds were first created, and then after their creation came the race of the blessed immortal gods. This has been regarded as either an atheistical or nonsensical utterance on the part of the poet, but with the true key applied to the language, it is found to contain an important historical fact. Let it only be borne in mind that the birds, that is, the winged ones, symbolize the lords of the mighty ones. And then the meaning is clear, viz., that men first begin to be mighty on the earth, and then that the lords or leaders of these mighty ones were deified. The knowledge of the mystic use sense of this symbol accounts also for the origin of the story of Perseus, the son of Jupiter, miraculously born of Diane, who did such wondrously things and who passed from country to country on wings. Divinely bestowed on him, this equally casts light on the symbolic myths in regard to Bellerophon, I ain't saying it again, and the feast which he performed on his winged horse and their ultimate disastrous issue, how high he mounted into the air, and how terrible was his fall, and of Iscarus, the son of Daedalus, who flying on wax cemented wings over the Isarian Sea, had his wings melted off through his too near approach to the sun, and so gave his name to the sea where he was supposed to have fallen. These fables all refer to those who trod or were supposed to have trodden in the steps of Nimrod, the first lord of the mighty ones, and who is that character was symbolized as equipped with wings. Now it is remarkable that this passage of Astrophis already referred to that speaks of the birds or the winged ones being pronounced before the gods. We are informed that he from whom both mighty ones and gods derived their origin was none other than the winged boy Cupid. Here we go. Here we go. Cupid, the son of Venus, occupied as will afterwards be proved in the mystic mythology the very same position as Nin or Ninus, the son did to Rhea, the mother of the gods. As Nimrod was unquestionably the first of the mighty ones after the flood, this statement of Aristophanes that the boy god Cupid himself, a winged one, produced all the birds or winged ones, while occupying the very position of Ninus, the son, shows that in this respect also Ninus and Nimrod are identified. While this is the evident meaning of the poet, foolishness, this also, in a strictly historical point of view, is the conclusion of the historian Apollodorus, for he states that Ninus or Nimrod, and then is comfortably conformity with this identity of Ninus and Nimrod. We find in one of the most celebrated sculptures of ancient Babylon, Ninus and his wife Semiramis represented as actively engaged in the pursuits of the chase, the quiver-bearing Semiramis being a fit companion for the mighty hunter before the Most High. Lord. When we turn to Egypt, we find remarkable evidence of the same thing there also. Justin, as we have already seen, says that Ninus subdued all nations as far as Libya, and consequently Egypt. The statement of Diodorus Siculus is the same effect, Egypt being one of the countries that, according to him, Ninus brought into subjection to himself. I gotta take a break, y'all. Yee. So far, we done went from talking about flying beings to it's been a long time. Wow, Jarul Daily. Okay, Shalom says it's been a long time. Just had a quick question. Did I do something to offend you? This is Sister Lakeisha, but I blocked on my channel. Just wanted some clarity on why. Although I am not trying to interrupt your edifying lesson. Oh my goodness, Lakeisha. I would choose not to, through wisdom, I would choose not to put this out here on Front Street because this is not for everybody to know. This is some that I would have to email you concerning why you were blocked on the channel. It wasn't something you did personally to me, but it's the stance on where I stand with those in their regards to receiving the Holy Spirit as a female. I think we talked a while ago before I moved and I was under the impression things were clear between us two. But then I had to use wisdom and just put up a, you know. But do you still have my email? Do you have my email that you can reach me at? Well, so be it. So, like I was saying, we were discussing a lot of some flying objects, and that's like as the title was saying, objects of worship. So we see in this chapter, it's just discussing, well, it's explained to us the objects of worship, how they came about, what their names are, how they've been hidden from different, um, what you would say, like a people, from the Assyrians to the Egyptians to the Greeks, and it's getting pretty interesting with that thing that is a man, half what you say horse, or what they call that, the Sagittarian guy. Y'all know that thing right there? Okay. Hit up my email, but before you do, which one do you have? Do you have the Yahoo one or the Gmail? Because it's taking me some time to get to that Yahoo one, because I don't have my old phone, and I have to do it on my computer if I check any emails with Yahoo. But that's gonna be the next time when we pick back up, we'll be reading. It'll be explaining that Sagittarian thing. I guess that's what it's called, which is all Greek. It's Greek stuff. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna depart, and I'm gonna go in prayer. Okay, so you have the okay, so you got the Yahoo one. All right, all right. So I'm gonna go in prayer first, and then I don't have. Can you give me your email? I'm gonna write it down. Because I have to definitely email you once I get instruction. I'm already hearing. I've heard 3 times instruction right now on how to deal. So this is why I'm gonna need your email. All praise. All right. How has that other sister been? Has she been tuning in? What's her name? Jasmine. And before we go any further, where is your stance now with the Holy Spirit? Have you come from, watching me to the understanding that the Holy Spirit is the Father? Are you still with the female thing? She's taking it one day at a time. All right. So she's been watching as well, correct? You can discuss. Oh, there's no this interruption because this is a question that we want to know before we proceed. Is hence we've been watching where do we stand right now? Are we standing in we're receiving the Father as the Spirit? Because see, those that don't receive Him, I cannot receive. Okay, so she's secluded from the online devices, as in people to watch. Zion. Zion, come here.
Yeah. This one?
Come here, son.
What? I can't even hear you.
And then come back to me.
Okay.
Who are we that we want to know? You say who do I refer to when I say we? I'm talking about me and the Father. She do? Correction. Yep. Confirmation. And did you give me any instructions? Okay. All right. Well, want to thank you, family, for tuning in. I'm going to go in prayer. So who are you? Who am I? Well, I'm simply a vessel of the Most High, child of the Most High. Yep. Who are you, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just a servant of the Most High. Awesome. That's beautiful. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go in prayer, you guys, and get things going for my little ones since 5. Get some supper going for them.
Supper. When did you
Dinner,
start saying that?
same thing. Supper, dinner, same thing.
When did you start saying that?
It's a little bit of sense of humor on. It's a good mechanism to keep me from some other things. But I thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you guys are being edified in this series that the Father is sharing with me and you all at the same time. We're all learning together. It's wonderful when a lot of things turn your light bulbs on. You're like, wow, never knew that. Didn't think about it like that. Confirmation, and things of the such. But I assure you, family, the Most High has a surprise for us when we get, I could say, good midway between this book, because as you look through the table of context, if you don't have this book and you want to read it or whatever, see if they got an audio That's what the Holy Spirit told me. He said, with some of the things I can't pronounce, he said, see if I can get an audio and just play the audio with my Bluetooth. And then if there's anything I want to chime in between, I could pause it and chime in. So if you guys agree with that, do the audio. We can do the audio of the book. I'm sure they probably got it on YouTube. But they just looking at some of the things, it says, the mother of the child, which is I think we're in that part now. It says section 1, Trinity and unity, the mother and child and the original of the child. It should say the origin of the child, not original of the child. Okay. And the child in Syria, the child in Egypt, the child in Greece, the death of the child and the deification of the child. The mother of the child. And then you got the festivals, which is of the worship, which is Christmas and Lady Day, Easter, the Nativity of St. John, the Feast of the Assumption. Then you got doctrine and disciplines, the baptismal regeneration, justification by works, the sacrifice of the Mass, extreme unction, and purgatory and prayers for the dead. So there's a lot in this book that is going to really be exposed by the wicked kingdom that we're going to take no light in. And I thank you all for tuning in. I pray you have a wonderful day. We all know that we are in the end days, literally the last hour. So if you have not gotten to the point where you're able to confess your sins and get in some water, even if you have confessed your sins, you got in the water, but you don't feel complete, you don't feel born again, you still feel like you're stagnant in your position with him, then ask him, just like you talk to somebody that you know, say, Father, whatever it is inside of me that I need to get up or bring out or this unfinished business, please let me know, because I want to be right for you when you come. And he will show you, he will work with you. And help you purge yourself of anything that is not of him before his appointment. Because we want to be ready when he comes. You don't want to be dimming. You want to be shining. All right, family. Love you so very much. Have a grand day. And when the Father gives me the green light, beloved Sis Lakeisha, I will be reaching out to you, okay? Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day, you all. Peace and blessings to you.